Challenging, thought-provoking, insightful. This is God in Country, the collision of faith and politics, hosted by nationally known speaker, Reverend Dr. Sean Michael Greener. Not your typical Rev. Dr. Sean is a proud military veteran, former law enforcement officer, and founder of the internationally regarded Executive Protection Team. Through counseling, elite life coaching, and national speaking, this ninja pastor tells it like it is. This series is biblically and politically engaged with the pedal to the metal. With today's edition of God in Country, here is host and author of the acclaimed yet controversial book, Excellence Killed the Church: How Mediocrity is Destroying America, Dr. Sean Michael Greener.
Awesome, awesome, awesome to be back behind the microphone. Actually, I don't want to lie. I'm actually beside the microphone. It's to the side of my mouth. So maybe I should stipulate that. We want accuracy here, 100%. We don't want to be inaccurate. So, I want to just give you all the information that you can get. I am Dr. Sean Michael Greener, and I am known as the Ninja Pastor, actually a trademark name. And so there's a big, long story behind how I got that name, but it doesn't matter now. It's really not important. What is important is that you are here, and that is awesome. I'm loving that. I'm loving that people are here, that people are listening. That is a cool thing. I would love for you to tell your friends about it. That's what I would love. It's free to tell them that. That's what I'm saying. A lot going on, right? I don't know how long this show is going to be very honest with you. I'd like to be very honest with you. Not just somewhat honest or partly honest or a tiny bit honest or, any other kind of honest that's not like fully and completely honest. But hey, what are you going to do? Hey, how many of you out there have had a rough week and it's only Wednesday? I see your hands. I see that hand. I see that hand. I know that's ignorant, isn't it? Yeah, whatever. Okay, so this is what I want to ask you. How many of you think there is a lot going on in the world? All right, that's too many hands. How many of you think there's a lot going on in the United States of America right now today? Ooh, that's a lot of hands. That's a lot of hands. That is so many hands. I can't even keep up with it. So, I don't know. I just feel very strongly that you could really get down. There's plenty of things to get down about. I have buddies that are fighting cancer. Just found out one of my classmates who I went to school with and graduated with is she is gone. She's dead. And so that makes, I want to say, out of my class, probably class of 83, Cape and Lopin High School, I want to say probably 30 out of that class, somewhere close to that, are gone. And by the way, I'm going to update you on something. House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi has been holding the floor of the House of Representatives for more than 6 hours and counting in a marathon speech protesting the budget deal reached by Senate leaders. Well, she's great. I love all the protest from the left. I love that. They love to protest. I'm surprised she hasn't turned over any cars or anything. You know she's capable. You know it and I know it. So let's just tell the truth about that. And I don't know. I gotta be nice. No, I don't have to be nice. I don't have to be nice to her. She's a criminal. She's a treasonous criminal and a liar. So I don't have to be nice to her. So in lieu of being nice to her, I will say this. She's BSC. First word is bat. Last word is crazy. She's crazy up in her head. She's not only crazy, but she's just flat out criminal. She's a bad person. You know it. I know it. Let's stop dancing around it. Let's stop dancing around it. We got to be for real. We got to be for real. Can't mess around. Can't dance around tough topics. She crazy. Petey the Panda. You guys know who Petey the Panda is, our show mascot. Petey the Panda say, people, they're crazy up the Congresses. They need to be taking them some physicals and whatnot. Check their brain out. Petey the Panda say, start with Nancy Pelosi. So there you have it. I mean, there's no better source than Petey the Panda. The fact of the matter of it is, she does crazy things. She's just odd. I don't want to. Oh, chat is open, by the way. I forgot to open it, so sorry about that. I don't know, if you know, but Nancy, she's just not right. She's not. All right. I'll tell you what. This is what I want you to do. I want you to applaud if you think Nancy Pelosi is crazy. Wow, I don't think we can argue with that response. That was huge. There are some people who tell me that they wish that she would get struck by lightning while she's speaking. Oh, so I better be careful. It's thundering and lightning out. Some stuff might get to her. We don't want that. We do not want that. That's not good. That is not good. There'll be some trouble afoot. Well, anyway, I have an idea. Let's start this class. Let's get it going. All right, here's the deal. She's not right in her head. We need to stop being afraid of calling it what it is. She's crazy. But she's also dangerous. You got to understand, she's crazy and dangerous. By the way, welcome to the Gold Star families. Welcome to my veteran and active duty crew all around the world that listen, and all the great patriots around the world. But we really want to thank all the active duty folks. I have several great friends that are in the theater, as they say, and they're not in a recliner. They are out and about in very hot places in the earth, very dangerous places, very sandy, very nasty. Then also to all of my agency friends, the Central Intelligence Agency. You don't realize that the Central Intelligence Agency has warriors everywhere. They're all over the place. And they'll never get a parade. They die, nobody knows about it. There's a blue star goes on the wall at Langley, and that's it. Your family, in some cases, gets handed a commendation of merit or whatever award, and then you promptly hand it back, and then they put it in a vault. So, and those people, they don't get a lot of accolade, but they're still out there getting after it. There's a lot of people in our military, the people that are out there every day. I'm really hoping and praying. This is kind of one of the things I was talking about is General Mattis. He, Secretary of Defense, he made his plea, I think to some committee or Congress or whatever today, and just saying, look, we've got soldiers dying in training because our equipment is not maintained. And I remember when I went in the military in 13 days from graduation, I was in the military and I loved it. United States Navy, hoo-yah. And loved it. Loved my compatriots. They were awesome people and very fortunate. I served with some of the greatest people ever in the world. Some not great, but most people were just amazing from all walks of life. And we didn't give a darn what color you were. We really didn't. None of it mattered. Just didn't care. What we wanted you to do is when it was time to be able to getting about it, we needed you to, we need to fire rounds downrange. That's what we needed to do. That's what we were about. And so all kinds of things. I mean, you, from the simple maintenance of critical vehicles, aircraft, all of those things, to the more serious stuff, the jets and the ships and the weaponry, and then also the people. People, your number one resource, and certainly in the military, that's a fact. I mean, you've got 17-year-olds responsible for multi-million-dollar equipment. Yeah, kid you not. Hey, I was 17. I think, who was that politician that got all over my nerves? Got all up on my nerves. Got all up on my nerves. Who was talking about? I think maybe it was Schumer. Maybe Chuck U. Schumer. I can't stand that guy either. A little midget. Anyway, he can't help how tall he is. He can't help how tall he is stature-wise, but he can certainly help how much of a shrimp he is intellectually and patriotically. And so he said that no 19-year-old, I think it was 22-year-old, no 22-year-old should have a gun. He remembers being 22, and he certainly should have never been trusted with a gun. Well, the only problem with that is this. Got an awful lot of soldiers out there, an awful lot of troops. Combat hardened at 17, 18 years old. Trusted with, multi-million-dollar equipment. You've got 17, 18-year-olds maintaining aircraft. Hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got them in charge of that. Or not in charge of it, but in some cases, hey, I know a guy who was petty officer second class, maybe, 20 years old. Amazing. He was in charge of people. I say all that to say this, our veterans are important, and so General Mattis, he was out there getting it done. He was fighting for the military, and you might say, well, that's a waste a lot of money, $900 hammers and $400 toilet seats. That is less, and I'll tell you this: you pull some of that under President Trump, and you will see him respond to that. That comes to his attention. He can't stand to waste money. And so I think that you will be surprised. I think I'll be surprised. We'll all be surprised to see how a lot of that just kind of falls by the wayside. Anyway, how many of you are fighting the flu? Show of hands. Ooh, that's a lot. That is a lot. Whew, folks. Man, I'm sorry about that. Hey, I'm pulling for you. I've got some friends. I have one friend that's had the flu twice. And in their house, there's a lot of people in and out of their house. Everybody's been sick, really super sick, and then people turn up sick, and it's just a tough thing. And so I'm praying for you. I'm praying for everybody out there that's fighting with it. And I'm praying I don't get it. And it sounds kind of self-centered, but it's true. I'm sorry to tell you. I have to be very honest with you and just tell you that I get the flu. My life's in danger, not just the regular flu danger, but because of what's happened to me health-wise, I get the flu. I'm going straight to the hospital, and I don't want to go to the hospital because Obama got rid of my health insurance for me. So, anyway, all right. Also, my buddy Jerry from Pennsylvania, he and I got together this week, and we had a nice talk over great cheesesteak. I think he had chicken sandwich and fries. Of course, we got fries at this place. I'm not going to say where it is because I don't want to flood of people rolling up in there. I want them to be very successful. They've been there for 20-some years. Local place, but good people, but I wouldn't want to associate my political leanings with them. That wouldn't be fair to them to cast that upon them. But I bet being a small business, they're probably hardworking people. They probably support a lot of President Trump's initiatives. Certainly the tax break is a huge thing. And the breaks on employers, enormous. Absolutely enormous. So I don't know how many things I'm going to talk about today. I really am not sure. We'll see. We're going to run it out. But if you have a topic, log in. Something that's of interest to you, might be some area of expertise for me. Go ahead and log in. Use your Spreaker app. We have free iPhone apps. If you go to the iPhone store or App Store, I think they call it, downloads in less than a minute. Super easy. Piece o' cake. Log in there. There's a desktop app. There's an Android app. Go to your Android, wherever Android people go, and download. It's free. I paid so you don't have to. So I would love for you to go ahead and do that. That would be super awesome. It would be super awesome. I would love that. Okay. I'm gonna talk about some things that probably you've been hearing some people talk about. 7 hours and counting. Isn't that something? Nancy Pelosi can talk a lot. That's her claim to fame. She lies well and she talks a lot. And when she's talking, she's lying. So there you have it. There's a breakdown. All right, so and I don't necessarily want to talk about this first, but I feel like I need to. Only because I feel like I've got to touch on this. There was a lot of back and forth on this. I actually had one of my friends say he was very disappointed in me. He was surprised, in fact, that that I watched the Super Bowl after not watching any NFL games all season long. And there's a reason. And I made an announcement to anybody that I don't know that I would have fans per se, but people that follow what I do, what I write, and what I, social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. I found out I'm on. I don't know what that is. It's something to do with Google, I imagine. But and then I'm on Tumblr, and I still don't know what that is. And then I'm on LinkedIn. What's the other one? I'm on some other. Oh, Quora. Quora. You ever see this Quora? Loving it. Loving it. People ask you questions and you answer them, and they share it with the world. They upvote it, they downvote it, whatever. People, they'll ask a lot of questions, and so they ask you to answer them. And so I like to help people. Best I can. Best I can help them, I do. Drinking some fresh, clean water. Now, let me just say this. Elderberry, I'm not a doctor. I am a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. Elderberry and zinc. Now, let's be honest. No offense to the zinc people, whoever they are. Wow, that stuff wrecks your taste in your mouth, doesn't it? It really does, and it wrecks it for a long time. But you know what else wrecks? When you're vomiting. That's a good case for, hey, maybe I probably should choose the zinc taste over vomit and the smell of death, because that's what's going to happen when you get the flu. Well, this elderberry and the zinc combination is supposed to be really, really good for fighting the flu, fighting colds. What else? I know it did something else. What else does it do? Oh, anti-inflammatory. It's just good for you in general. Anti-cancer, they tell me. I don't know. You hear that stuff, I don't know. But, that gets my attention since, I don't want cancer. Nobody does. So, anyway. One of my friends, so follow me and all that, and download the Spreaker app, and then you'll get notifications whenever I'm on. And then you'll be able to listen to the show anytime. And it's free. It's free to listen afterwards. You're like, yeah, it better be, dude. Anyway, the Super Bowl. Now, I made a decision. I wasn't all righteously indignant. I didn't say, oh, I am so above everyone that I am not going to watch any NFL professional football games this year. I didn't say that. And I said right up front that, look, I'm not, the kneelers make me sick. They make me sick. They do. You know what I think? I think they need a throat punch. I'm not advocating you do that. I'm just saying that's a lot of times is very effective. I'm just saying. Don't go to that first. Try talking. But, once they show that they're not going to, they're not going to respond to words, then you might have to go to the throat punch. I'm just saying. Anyway, all that said to say this. Bottom line. My daughter just sent me a message. She's had 5 tests in 18 days. Good Lord. That's, veterinary medical school. They're rough. Holy moly. Thank you. Jim Courtney, a listener and friend on social media. He just reminded me that I should tell you to go to my, if you become a Facebook friend or you follow me. Now I have 5,000 friends. I'm always cutting people, and I think we're down to maybe 681, I think I counted today, waiting, in the front that have sent me requests. But you can always click on follow, and then as I trim people out, some weeks I'll trim out 200-300 people at one time, and then I bring 200-300 people in. And not that it's any great big deal. It's really not. I'm just a regular dude. But the point is, I'm not a superhero. I'm a somewhat hero. And but anyway, so one of the things you'll learn on social media is that I do photography. Now I'm an amateur. I guess, yeah, amateur maybe. I sell my stuff. I sell them prints, really, really beautiful. I mean, some of them, I've got to tell you, they're beautiful images. And this is my, I'll give you the website first, the Innovative Photography of Dr. Sean Greener. It's https:// but I tested it, and you can do www. I don't know. It's a secure website. / Sean M, which is SHAWNM dash Greener, as in the grass is always greener, .pixels.com. So that's how you get to it. Sean M dash Greener .pixels.com. And if you want to go to the ninjapastor.com or drshawngreener.com, while you're there, subscribe. You get all my articles and all that stuff. It's free. And we won't spam you. No, we will not. But my mission statement is observing and creating compelling images which slow a rushed mind, uplift a down spirit, and inspire toward better moments and memories. Sean's signature concierge photography represents moments that may only happen once in a lifetime, images of timely and timeless relevance. So anyway, that's my website, and everything we do from that goes to our show. It helps us buy Bibles to send around the world. I am waiting with bated breath, or bait on my breath. I'm not sure which. I am a toothbrusher. I have this special toothpaste, supposed to be really great for that. But hey, I don't know which it is. Bated breath that smells like bait. I don't know which. But the point here is we send Bibles all around the world, and I am waiting. I got my first request. We send them to the United States, too. I don't want you to feel like we don't do that. They're very nice Bibles, too. They're not chumpy, super cheap ones. They are Bibles. They're $60. My cost is $60. I don't know what you pay in the store, but $59.95. And then, of course, I have to pay to ship them to me and all that stuff. And I buy them by the case. And so we have a little Kehala. We do a live thing that we broadcast on Sundays. And those folks are kind enough to contribute to that. But for the most part, we cover everything just with our money. And so it gets a little tough. But if you want to help out, I should tell you. So bated breath that smells like bait. Tomorrow, I mailed, I don't need to have on that, I mailed a Bible, one of our Bibles, and my book, and some other things, to someone in Aleppo, Syria. I got an email from them, and I'm just super excited. I was so excited when I got it. They had found me on social media and then listened to the show, and if you're listening now, send me a message. If you got the Bible, send me a message. The shipping source that I used told me, look, this may get there and it may not. They cut open packages and you never know who you're going to get, that's cutting open the package to see what's in there. They may burn it. Certainly if it's a Muslim, they're going to burn it. They're going to burn it. That's just reality. They might even defile it before then. So what I'm telling you is we send them all around the world. We've sent them to Belgium. Where else we sent them? I sent one or two to Germany, and where else? And all over the country, all over the United States. And we do that as a ministry. We send a great Bible out, and we're happy to do it. We're excited to do it. So, and I'll say it to you all, if you, for whatever reason, you might be listening, you might not be able to afford the internet. You might be listening in a library right now. Or as some kid said when I was growing up, a library. They take that R right out. Just take it right out. Get it out of there. You don't need it. So they would send them all around the world, and anyway, no. Go back to library. Library. That trips me up. When I go back to Sussex County, I get a little lost. I'm just a Sussex County country boy. You know how it is. So you may be in a library right now, and you may not have the money. You may be homeless. You may be barely making it. And you certainly don't have the money for a Bible. Maybe you don't live anywhere where you can get a Bible, and you don't have an address you could have one mailed to. Give me the address to the library if you're a homeless person. Give me the address to somebody you know will hold on to it. And then we'll tell you, get a hold of me through email or through the show page, the Spreaker page, or the ninjapastor.com or drshawngreener.com or the Facebook or Twitter, wherever, the 900 places I am. So get a hold of me and make sure I have a good address. and I will send it to you. So tomorrow if this thing is supposed to be delivered. If it will be delivered, it's supposed to be delivered tomorrow. So super, super excited. I can't even tell you. But Jim Courtney, he was saying, I put out a plea on social media for some of the photos that I have not put on the website to sell yet. We're talking really nice prints, all the way from really nice prints to beach towels and then we do for custom framing too. And it's very fancy. I mean, you can get a basic frame if you want. You can get printed on tin, a wood, acrylic, regular photo, the high-end archive quality paper. But if you don't, if you want to get a poster done, you don't have to get all that. We have it all different levels. So I'm just saying to you, go there, look around on the website, and see what you see. But I posted a bald eagle that ironically was right behind my house, and so I took a photograph of the bald eagle. He was only there a very brief period of time. And then I'm loving these cardinals. I'm telling you, these cardinals come around, and I've got another cardinal photograph. You'll learn. I'm into wildlife and landscape, stirring stuff, neat stuff. I just like that. And I do portraits too. We do custom portraiture, but we don't do the regular, okay, on three, smile. We don't do any of that. That's not what we do. That's not how we do it. And I think you'll see some examples of our portraiture there on the website too. So I would love for you to look at that. I have a bunch there, but we literally have 30-some thousand photos that I need to get on the thing. Not all of them, but obviously some of them. So Jim Courtney reminded me. I put out here 5 photos, and I said, or 4 photos, and I said, hey, can you guys help me decide which one goes on? And Jim Courtney, great guy, said, absolutely. The hat trick will be deciding what not to offer. Don't know what you did before you started taking pics, but you sure know how to create a beautiful photograph, and that is wonderful. God creates the photograph, and I just capture it. That's about all I do. But that's a wonderful compliment. Just talked about you on the air live. See? It's awesome how that works. Isn't that cool? Love it. Love it. Anyway, so there were some people mad at me. No, I'm not right in the head. It's okay. It's okay. Be nice to people. It's a disability. I'm legally 100% disabled. So you got to be nice to me. You got to be tender. I have a tender heart. I have a very tender heart. I don't think you know that. I think my nice audience, I think you do know that. We are followed by Media Matters, and that's not very nice. They're not nice people, just saying. Not nice at all, and I really, really, I don't know why they do what they do. Hatred, I think is a big thing, hatred. Most of what they do is motivated by hatred, and so as a result, I just think that they're just evil people. Anyway, so the NFL, there were some friends that were actually friends and followers that were very, very disappointed. They were very disappointed. And they said, I just can't imagine you compromising your values. Now, one of the guys that said that, I like him because he's a bold guy. He says what he thinks. He's not going to say anything behind your back, and I appreciate that. And he's a good friend and still a good friend. But he said, of all people, all of my friends, you are the last one that I would think would do this. Now, I'm going to give you the reasons why I watched the Super Bowl, and we'll plow through this pretty quickly. Now, I didn't watch I watched a ton of college football. Central Florida, by the way, I followed them. I followed them for some time. I actually gave some speeches there, and I really love the place. The vibe there is amazing. And I followed their football team, and they're okay. You can say what you want to. I like cheerleading. I like the big time, NCAA cheerleading. It's like competitive cheerleading. My daughter was a cheerleader. I love it. I think the number one number of and the most severe injuries are cheerleaders, not football players. You'd be surprised to know that, I bet. But yeah, they have terrible injuries. And they work so hard. I mean, there's more to it. Now, if they're out there in little slinky outfits like the professional ones, just shaking their butts and got all the gear, the girl gear hanging out, for me, I struggle with that. I think it's manipulative. And I think, there's a romance factor that you miss when you leave it all hanging out in public, and I don't much care for it. Let's just put it that way. I like the privacy and all of that. That's just me. You can call me a prude if you want. There are restaurants out there, with the name that goes with an owl, the sound an owl makes, and I don't care for that. Their food may be incredible, but I think it's a base thing. But do I think you aren't allowed to do that, or you shouldn't be allowed to go? Absolutely not. Go enjoy yourself. It's just not for me. It's not my thing. I said something about the Fox ladies. You guys know that I've been on Fox and all those others, and they're nice people. They're super smart women. There's not a woman who is a regular contributor, for Fox, like on the Curvy Couch or any of those things. There's not a single one of them that's not super, super highly educated, very intelligent, and good people. I've met almost all of them. I'm friends with a few of them, and at close friends with a couple. And they're wonderful, amazing women. But the culture there is legs, shiny, smooth legs sell, and slinky, tight dresses sell. I don't care for it. It just doesn't do anything for me because I don't think that's the venue for that. Now, do I think they should dress like nuns? No. You can look elegant and classy and all of that, but this whole business they're doing now, it's just not for me. It's not for me. And I've made it known. It's just not for me. They're not ever going to ask me to sit on the curvy couch with a slinky dress on, or shorts. I don't know. I got pretty nice legs, so I think maybe they might do that. But I doubt it. I just doubt it. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a little poll on that. So I watched a lot of college football. I said followed the Ohio State Buckeyes, because I'm a huge Buckeye fan. My dog is named Buckeye. I used to live in Ohio. My family's from Ohio. Not, my wife and my son are from Ohio. The family and everything back there. And so there's a strong connection there. My best friend, always a brother, Chuck, we've been best friends since, goodness, I don't know, junior high. And when you're where I'm from, you say junior high. You don't say junior high. Junior high. Anyway, and he lives there. He went to Ohio State, and I got a lot of other friends that went there. So, I've been following them for a lot of years. So I watched them. I watched Central Florida. I think they should have had a shot at the national championship, quite honestly. Undefeated, and many of their games, they just were just some of the most exciting, I think the most exciting games I've ever seen. But I made a point, and I wasn't self-righteous about it. I didn't, well, I'm so holy, because I'm not. Anyone that knows me knows I got enough hurts, habits, and hang-ups for the lot of us. I've never professed to be perfect or without sin, any of those things. But I am who I am, and I'm real about it. But the point of all this is I said publicly and on the radio here and writing and different things, that, look, I'm not going to watch the NFL this year. But when it gets to the Super Bowl, because it is as much a cultural event as it is anything else. And I'm going to have to watch that because I got to comment on it. Anyway, so I wrote an article on this, and I said I prefaced it with, now, before the Super Bowl. Now, I put this out before the Super Bowl, and then I revised it for after, and updating and all that stuff. So I said to the people that follow what I do, why I watch the Super Bowl, or why, I put it out beforehand, why I am watching the Super Bowl after not watching any professional football this season. I don't fault anyone for not watching. Most assuredly, I do understand. And I don't fault anybody for watching. I understand that as well. I watched, this is what I put out afterwards, which is a modification of the first part. I watched the Super Bowl for 4 reasons. Because of what I do, not that I'm anything special, but I do talk to nearly 2 million people per week, they tell me. I am asked my opinion on current events and culture, and I need to know what I'm talking about. I make a great effort to not comment on things I don't actually know. Now, reaching nearly 2 million people weekly, if you've ever talked to that number of people in a format that can be replayed over and over and over, it can be copied and pasted over and over, limitlessly. And you know how things go viral. Sometimes things go around the world. Not that I've done anything great, but you've seen this stuff that goes viral. Sometimes you're thinking, what in the world did I just do? And you're one of 14 million people who have looked at it. So I don't want to, if you've talked to that number of people, or even, a tenth of that, you don't want to make an error based on what you heard happened. It's like those memes that go around. Sometimes there's one going around saying that Schiff is, he's related to Soros. And, you can't be shocked that if that would be the case, but it's not the case. My good friend and friend of the show, Dave Peterson, not Dave Peterson, Dave Perkins. Dave Peterson is also a friend of the show, but Dave Perkins, you've heard on the show, you know, he cleared that up for some folks. And so, and I'm not going to make fun of you if you do a meme or something, you forward something that sounded good, it came from somebody you believe in, that you trust, that you feel like vetted stuff. Somebody just needs to tell you. I unfriended a guy who I think is a very good guy. He's an author. He writes thriller books, and he's young and he's inexperienced in real life. But I think he's in his mid to late 20s. He still lives with his mom. I don't know if he lives in the basement or not, but great writer, really good writer, very intelligent guy. But on social media, he would look for fault on our own team and then amplify that, highlight it, put it in bold, make it big letters. And that's just never been my style. So, if you make an error, hello to Kim in chat. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. She's floor for house. We got another notice. Apparently Nancy's still standing up. Who knew she could stand that long? I knew she couldn't feel her face if she needed to, but somehow or another she's managing. Anyway, let me just skip ahead because this show will be 5 hours long if I don't hurry up and get with it. Look, to put it simply, if you repeat something somebody said and you thought you could trust it, but you go out and all of a sudden 2 million people have heard what you said, but you said what you said because you heard that happened and it didn't. Look, I've learned, and I was just mentoring somebody this week who is, she'll be on the show, I'm sure. Somebody who I met at Arlington National Cemetery in Section 60, and I've dedicated the show on several occasions to Major Samuel M. Griffith, and that's her brother, and she's a Gold Star sister, and so I met she and her mom and her husband, her great husband Gentry, and so she's publishing a book, and she's been on Steve Harvey and some other things, and so we were talking about some pitfalls, some things I learned, and I don't want somebody else to make a mistake that I made. I want it to go easier for you, smoother for you, rather than harder. I don't want that. I want to help good people every chance I get. I mean, I feel like some of my worthwhileness here on earth, probably a big part of it, is what I can do for others. I want to do for other people and help people out. That's just, you can be what you're about, but that's what I'm about. I try to, and I mess up. Like I said, I've got a mountain of hurts, habits, and hangups, just like anybody else. And I don't make out that I'm any better than anybody else. In fact, I'm, at the back of the line as it comes to that. So that said, we were just talking about this, and I said, you really have to be careful about how you say what you say. Record everything that you do. Have a recording of your own so that when people adulterate it, they change it, you'll have the actual recording, video or audio or whatever, original article, and somebody misquotes you, then you can go there and go, this is actually what posted. And then own it. If you said it and you were wrong, own it. But anyway, I didn't want to be in that. So point one is I didn't want to talk about something I didn't see because I knew I'd be asked about it. So I wanted to know, did this happen? Did that happen? Whatever the case may be. Now, number two, the biggest reason is this, and you know what? I understand this may not mean anything to you. It really may not, and I'm okay with that. Listen, I'm not one of those people who's going to shove faith or religion or belief down your throat. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to fight Islam and the true practitioners of Islam as it is written. Absolutely. Then I'll tell you about it. We're going to do another show on the religious, political, and military ideology. It is not a religion. It is a religious, political, and military ideology. You've heard me talk about that before. On our blogtalkradio.com/The Ninja Pastor, you can listen to, I don't know, maybe hundreds of hours where I talk about Islam, and I'm an internationally recognized expert on Islam, and so we give you the skinny on that. We're not going to go into that here, but anyway, the point of it is, be whatever faith you want to be whatever faith you don't want to be. That's absolutely fine with me. People say, well, as a pastor, that's weird. Aren't you grieved? Yeah, I'm grieved. But look, in the modern world, there's no way in the world you can tell me you haven't heard about Jesus. There's no way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now, there's some people in Appalachia that, Dolly Parton helps. They've never seen a television that works. They've never listened to radio. They're so flipping poor. That's why I see a lot of these pastors. This has nothing to do with this. I guess it does have some. I see a lot of pastors raise $20,000 or $50,000 from their congregation and from neighbors and friends and all that stuff to go some place halfway around the world to be, worldwide ministers and worldwide missions. I'm not against missions. Don't get me wrong. But why in the world would you go fly over Appalachia? Why in the world would you go past the inner city where people are dying every day? Yes, they're dying because of drugs. Yes, they're dying because of drug dealers and violent, lifeless people. They don't have Christ. They don't have the Father. They don't have Hashem. They don't have Adonai. They don't have that. They don't have the hope of heaven. They don't have those things. Why not go to them? Well, it's not as, you can't brag about that. Well, we went to the inner city. We went to, south side of Chicago. We went to downtown Wilmington. Well, that's not sexy. And there's a lot of pastors that they want to build their resume by saying, we're a worldwide ministry. That's it, whatever. You got to answer for that. I'm not saying that the people where you're going don't need it, but why are you raising all this money to be there for 5 to 7 days when for $5,000 you could be, take a bus ride, take an Uber, and go and administer to people that are all around you. Diamonds in your own backyard. I always love to say it's a great story. It's a sad story, but it's a true story. Don't skip over the diamonds in your backyard for that thing you think's going to be there. Minister locally first. It's my thing. Anyway, I talk about it in my book, Excellence Kill the Church, How Mediocrity is Destroying America. But still, the point of it is I'm not against worldwide missions. What I am against is walking past the lost here, the lonely here, the homeless here, the poor here. You say, well, even the poorest of the poor here have 10 times as much as just the regular people over in Kenya or wherever. I'm sorry to tell you, man, I'm going to take you to Appalachia. I can take you to Appalachia, and after 8 hours of hiking, I will show you someone who is 34 years old and has never used a toothbrush. Never had one. Yeah, it's real. Never seen a television. Never heard a radio. In this country. You say, wow, they want to be like that. No, they don't. So you flip that and you say, well, the people over in Africa or wherever else you're going, in Russia or whatever. Whatever places you're going, Haiti or whatever. And I'm not against helping those people. I want you to know. But I'm saying somebody needs to, stop going past people. Anyway, I'm getting off track and going out the back door. Anyway, I want to know what I'm talking about. So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm listening to somebody and saying, this is number one. I want to see it for myself so I can comment accurately on it. If I've seen it, I've heard it, I've experienced it, then I can comment on it. And again, look, if you're not a person of faith, that's fine. But something that meant a lot to me is on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I don't live far from Philadelphia, but there are 4 players that I know of, and I think maybe more than that, and Coach Pedersen, they didn't kneel. They never kneeled. In fact, many of the team of the Philadelphia Eagles, they didn't kneel. They didn't kneel. Also, while I'm thinking of it, congratulations to all of my great friends who are Eagles fans, and you've gotten your win, and I'm really excited. You've gotten your world championship. I'm very, very excited. All in all, I felt like the Philadelphia fans did pretty well. I mean, you saw pictures that were framed in such a way to make it look like they burned the city down, but they didn't. It was very isolated, very small. It was, the streets, 9,000 people walking the streets, and there were maybe 5 incidences total. And they've already caught a bunch of people. So the kid who instigated the pushing over of the car, he's already been arrested. The people that were on top of that awning, I think they said 80% of them have been arrested. That awning, listen, that thing was 150 years old that there's been an awning out there. I don't think that was the original awning, if we want to know the truth, but and they tore it down. Why in the world would you climb up on that? People are climbing up on light poles and all that stuff. I don't get that at all. I guess they want a better vantage point, but it's weird. It's just super weird. Um, but all in all, Philadelphia fans did pretty well, and certainly way better than people expected them to. So, but a majority of the team who didn't kneel of this team, because I researched it, I want to see how many. There's a bunch of them that are hardcore, unapologetic Christians. Two are actual pastors, and a couple more are studying through Liberty University to be pastors. They led 13 players, last count, 13 players on the Eagles team to the Lord this year. 13 players. Those people were lost and hopeless without Christ, and now they are assured the second they close their eyes, they will be present with the Lord. Now that's huge. I don't care who you are, that's huge. For me, that's huge. It's a big deal. It's a real big deal. Look, those same people, I'll just tell you some of the names. Carson Wentz, Ertz, and Nick Foles. Did you know Nick Foles is studying to be a pastor? I mean, it's huge. There's 4 key players that are really into it, and the coach is a huge, very involved Christian, and they're studying to be ministers. They're leading Bible studies. They started Bible studies, and all these things. They're leading in their world where they live. They're being missionaries to the world where they live. They're leading to Christ the lost and the misinformed. And that's extraordinary. I have to support that. Look, they met with the kneelers. I'm going to say this. Well, first of all, do you know they did a bunch of baptisms in some of the hotels where they've been? There's video on YouTube of them doing baptisms for the people they've led to Christ, and then they baptize them. Yeah, I mean that's huge. Look, if you're not in the religion, that's your thing. But for us folks, that's a big deal, man. That's a real big deal. So what they did, these Christian folk met with the kneelers, the people specifically who kneeled and people who sympathized with the kneelers before the game, and they prayed with them about what God would have them to do. They said, look, this is the world stage now. This is a big deal. And you're going to be watched by a lot of people, and here's some things for you to consider. And here's what God says about it. And you know what? That's leadership I can support. I can get behind that. Franklin Graham watched, by the way. I sent him a message asking how did he make a decision to watch. I haven't heard back from him. He's usually very, very good about that, though. An amazing human being. My goodness. His dad is why I became a preacher. So anyway, so the third reason is you guys know I regularly go to Arlington National Cemetery. I visit the graves of my friends and heroes and cohorts, and in so doing, I can think of 2 of those. Now, I go visit a whole bunch, but I can think of 2 who I know personally, personal close friends of mine. They loved football. They loved the NFL. If they wouldn't have been buried in their uniform, they would have been buried in their team jersey. I mean, that's just how into football they were. They'd be watching. If they weren't killed in action, they would be watching. And if there were kneelers during the national anthem, they would give the television a 1-finger salute, and they'd say that dumb, needs a throat punch. And then they'd watch the game and scream and jump and yell and swear and whatever else during the game. But during the national anthem, we would have all stood and we'd all had tears in our eyes. And because of them, I stand. When I hear the national anthem, I stop what I'm doing, no matter where I am, and I stand. And I render a crisp salute. Now, I'm going to say this too. Pink, the singer Pink, she's extremely talented. She's a great vocalist, great performer. They tell me her concerts are amazing. Well, she's notoriously anti-American, super, super liberal. I mean, ultra, ultra liberal. But she was chosen to sing the national anthem. Now, what you may not know is this young lady had such severe flu. She had been in bed, and they gave her, I was told, a bag of an IV before she went out. I mean, she was behind, normally they're part of the festivities and everything and meet and greets and all that stuff. No, they went in, she was, they laid down and they did an IV bag on her to rehydrate her before she went out. She could barely talk. And she went out there and she sang it, and I knew immediately, because look, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be honest. If it's a great performer, or, great entertainer, and they do a great job what they do, they football, whatever sport, they do a great job what they do. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I got to give them their props. I can't say, well, they suck because, at what they do. Because if they don't suck, they don't suck. I mean, you just got to be honest about those things. I also don't have to worship them either, just because they're great at something. But she's notoriously anti-American, and I wanted to watch and see how did she do. And this is before I knew she had the flu. I thought she did real well. I thought the fella who sang, now I'm not up with the modern day fancy pants, cool, hip, trendy, and cool singers. I just don't, I'm not, well, I guess in my day we knew words to songs, we actually played the instruments, that type of thing. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know who this guy is, and he's probably, for me, he's probably a really big deal. I mean, if you get asked, I don't know. If you get asked to sing at any point during the Super Bowl, I think that's a big deal. So what are you saying? America the Beautiful, I think God Bless America, maybe? I can't remember now. It just popped out of my head. Well, he did a great job. I don't know who he is. I don't. I'm not going to lie to you and say I know who he is, but, he was amazing. And in fact, my son Doyle, and he's probably listening right now, I said to Doyle, hon, I call my son Hun. That's all right. He's a big old strapping 22-year-old. Wonderful boy, let me tell you. I'm so blessed. I have great kids. But Doyle, he was there, and I said, oh, he started high. You guys know I used to sing the national anthem at major sporting events and stuff. And before my crash, I loved to sing. I would sing it a cappella and everything. Well, he sang this, and I said, oh, he's starting high. He's not going to have anywhere to go. Well, that fella had no problem. Whew. He climbed the mountain, no problem, no stress. Did a beautiful job. My goodness, I was impressed. And then when it came time for Pink to sing, I have to hand it to her. She did amazing. And then when I found out how sick she was, because I'm told she left right out of there and got another bag, IV bag, and went to bed. Under doctor's care. I mean, that I got to hand it to her. I just think that's amazing. And then, of course, you guys know there's a small connection via Lily's mom to Justin Timberlake and Memphis Boy, and he's a nice young man. His family's very nice. You guys know I lived in Memphis for 3 years, and I think 3 years. I can't remember how long it was, something like that. And so I made some good friends there, and he's a Memphis boy, but I think. You can say what you want. I know people are going to scream at me for this. I think he's as talented, if not more, than Michael Jackson. I think he's a fantastic performer, and he can do everything. He can sing, he can dance, he writes music. He's an excellent instrumentalist. He can play a lot of instruments very, very well. He is a great actor. He can do funny, and he can do serious, and he's proven he can do all of it. And he's a super businessman. So I like the guy. I don't like all of his songs, but I like him, especially that one he did with Chris Stapleton at the CMAs. Whoo, Lord. I like country, and boy, when you bust it out like that, that's, Go ahead and give me some of that. Get it all up on me. So, I wanted to see him too. And then a lot's been said about, well, his sound wasn't good or whatever. Well, he doesn't do the sound. I'm sorry to tell you. He doesn't go and turn a knob and then go back out and sing a little bit. Okay, let me turn this other. He doesn't do any of that. It's such a computerized, intense thing. There's professionals that are paid huge money to do that. And to be honest, they didn't do a great job in this particular case. But the point of it is I wanted to watch and see those things. And then I'll tell you what else too. Really, the real reason is that I wanted to watch is for my lost brothers and sisters. I'll stand. But I'll keep an eye on it as that camera moves around there. I'm going to see if there's any kneelers on the sidelines. And you know what? At the end, I just might have, at the end, if there was a kneeler at the end of my beloved anthem, after I return my salute, I might have to give them an albeit different type of salute. And then I'm going to take notice of their names. This is number 4 at the end of the game. I'm going to set about whatever minor influence I have, small time albeit as it is. I'm going to shame those pieces of crap who kneel at a sacred time such as the national anthem. I'm sorry. You do what you want to do. And I respect and support whatever your decision is. But that's why I watched it. And nobody kneeled. There's the update. And so after that, I had a listener and a friend who I very much respect, who's probably listening now. And thank you very much, dear. I thank you for asking me the question. She asked me, what did I learn by watching the Super Bowl? And I said, great question. Thank you for asking. Here's what I learned. I learned even more to trust my gut in deciding to watch. My gut told me you should watch this. That's what my gut told me. It told me, hey, you got to watch this, man. You cannot let something like this go by and comment based on what somebody else said happen. You can't do it. I learned to trust my gut. I also learned that the Philadelphia Eagles are more of a faith team than I ever even realized. I had no idea. I learned that the leadership of the Eagles is comprised of I'm using this word. I don't want you to freak out over it, but they're extraordinary men. Extraordinary men. These are extraordinary men and women. There's some of the leaders, back office and front office and all that are women. I learned that the Eagles were told, as were the Patriots, by the way. I have this on real good information here. You will stand. The players were told, you will stand. Now, there was no or else. At least not disclosed to me as of showtime today. There was no or else. You will stand or else. There was none of that. I'm told it was you will stand. And maybe it'll come out, that an ultimatum was issued. But I have to say, of the two teams, Mr. Kraft and Mr. Laurie, I like it. I like that they said, hey, this is not the time to do that. Not the time to do it. And I'll tell you what else, too. It's an interesting situation that do you say interesting or interesting? Which do you say? You can let me know. Send me that. It's very important. It's an interesting situation with the NFL because it's not a business. It's a club. And people are really flummoxed over how they don't pay the normal tax rate of a corporation. Well, they're a fraternal club, a sports club, and not a business. Now, they have some businesses within that, but the main business of the NFL football, they're not taxed at the same rate that you would see others. And I have a problem with it. I absolutely do. But they are taxed far different than a typical employer. Anyway, some would not know that. But they are classified literally as entertainers with contracts. And the contract is very biased, very heavily biased toward the players. And you may not have considered this, maybe you don't know this, but the players share none of the risk of revenue downturns. So they kneel, and it's 20-some%. The actual number is actually 28%. That's the real number. They're going to give you some crap numbers overall, but the reality, the real number is, and I know very well that this is true, the viewership is down 28%. Revenues are down 28% because of these insolent employees kneeling. Some alleged protest. Making some kind of claim. Multi-million-dollar people saying that they're being held back by the man. You are the man. When you're making $8, $10, $16 million a year, you are the man. You're the man. You don't have any share of the revenue downturn, only the upside. You're the man. The owners, only the owners and the vendors. And these vendors, you got to think about these vendors. When you go buy a hot dog, or you buy hot dog here, get your hot dog. I don't know if they actually talk like that. And Philadelphia, it would be, get your hot dog. Come on over. Hey, I'm not telling you again. Get over here. Get your hot dog. Hot dog. But these are regular people. These are regular people. And they put out huge money. And it's tough to be a vendor there. And they've got to make their money during the season, because if they don't, some of them have to make a certain amount of money in the first two home games, or they don't have enough money to be there for the last few home games. It's just reality. And then when I say it's a huge amount of money, it's a huge, huge amount of money. Well, guess the players, they don't care. But the moms and pops that sell jerseys and team memorabilia and all of these things, the swag, they get hurt. Because, everything goes down. When something is down, it all goes down. The players get paid no matter what. And I'll tell you what else. If you think about this, the owners are really in a bind as to what to tell the players. Because the normal employee-employer laws, they're not applicable. But what does apply are union rules. And I'm telling you, you got to read this contract. This contract is not to be believed, the player contract. The players' union is extremely powerful. So the next player to lament his treatment by the man, I recommend a throat punch. I'm just saying. Now, look, I'm not insulated from the reality here. They do run an incredibly high risk of injury. And some of these injuries, quite frankly, are serious injuries or death. At any rate, most of these players, they're going to experience some major body damage that absolutely hobbles them. Many of the players have a real hard time walking by the time they're 40, 45. Now, you got to hand it to Tom Brady to be 40 years old and to be in the shape that he's in. You can say what you want about him missing that pass. He should have caught it. There's no doubt about it. He should have, And a lot of people said, well, if he just laid out for it, he'd have got it. Well, he wouldn't have been able to throw another ball. His body's not trained for that. It's not prepared for that. It's prepared to throw. It's prepared to, the executive decisions of running a team and all of that. And he probably would have injured himself if he'd have done that. Super Bowl's probably, could be his last one. I say if you're going to lay out for one, that's the one. But look, these players, most of them can't walk by the time they're 40, 45. They've got so many concussions, they don't remember stuff. I have a brain injury, I had a severe concussion and a traumatic brain injury. I know what they're going through. And you know what? This is a crazy number, but I know I've had as a client a guy who won the Super Bowl MVP. I won't say the team because we don't have our client names, but he was a Super Bowl, and I think he was a rookie. He had the longest run back in history at that time at a Super Bowl, interception run back for a touchdown. And they won. The team he was on won. They were somewhat of a dynasty for a long time. And you know what? He got hurt real bad. And then he tried to come back. He got traded. He didn't play very well. He got traded. Went to the other place. He got hurt again. And then he was done. I think after 6-7 years, he was done. It was over. And he's in this 85%. They make extraordinary amounts of money per year, but 85% of the players, by 5 years after they stop playing, are dead broke. They're dead broke. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I don't pity them one bit. I don't. Most of us out there listening to the show, and there's some very, very powerful, wealthy people that listen to the show, believe it or not, and they make a lot more than they do. But I will tell you this, most of these NFL players, I guarantee I've never made the kind of money they make. We all have to have a reasonable judgment here. But I don't pity these people at all. I don't pity the NFL players one bit, not one bit. They should be smart. They should be disciplined. They should invest. They should save. Many are saving, but most aren't. And they should buy injury insurance for their contract instead of that fly Bentley. They wanted to impress all their friends. Load up the backseat of the Bentley with a bunch of their friends and hotties. Impress people. It's stupid. Instead of buying that Bentley, buy injury insurance. By the way, if you get injured and you get a payout, guess what? That money that's paid to you, tax-free. It's tax-free. Absolutely amazing. And you're going to make that money. That's money you're going to make. That's coming every month. Buy injury insurance. Yes, it's super expensive. Well, what if I don't get hurt and I have to use it? Well, that's why they call it insurance. It is super expensive, but it's super high reward. The smart players buy injury insurance instead of that Bentley. Now, this is another reason I watched this year's Super Bowl is because I learned that the level of practiced and unapologetic faith on the Eagles, I can't testify to the Patriots because I don't have a source there, by the way. To be very honest with you, I don't have connections there, but it's much higher than I ever realized, as I said in the thing that I wrote before I watched the game. And the level of ministering and mentoring that's going on within the Eagles organization is nothing short of extraordinary. My sources tell me that, and this is something you probably haven't heard, that 5 of the players were contemplating kneeling anyway. And one of them was Chris Long, who is a liberal, insane jerk, much like his father, Howie Long. Now, is Howie Long a great athlete? Is his son Chris a great athlete? Sure they are. But they're both insane liberals. And so Chris Long was insisting he'd still kneel all the way up until game time. And in addition, of course, he's made it very public that he's not going to go visit the White House because of President Trump. But the spiritual leaders on this team, they had a voluntary team meeting prior to this game at a time of prayer, ministering, and mentoring. And as a result, they left the meeting with a resonance of honor your faith, honor your team, honor on their mind. And none of the players knelt during the national anthem. And you know what? I like that. I'll tell you what else this tells me. This tells me that President Trump, he was correct in keeping the pedal to the metal on the players, the teams, and the owners. President Trump's got some moxie. He is not a quitter or a squeamish stomach guy. And you know what? I got to tell you, that means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. We needed this fearless fighter for president. We'd be lost for good. I'm telling you, if it wasn't him, I don't think anybody else, I don't think they could have pulled this off. And we have a fearless fighter. Finally, I was just tell you, I was so impressed with the post-game interviews with the coaches and players. First of all, it was all class. All class. Very respectful, very professional, very dignified. And I'll tell you what, that's a big change from years past. There were some players in years past that were just disgusting. And I'll tell you, the game itself, watching the game, oh my goodness, I lost 10 years off my life. That game was an awesome athletic display, and the competition leads me to conclude that it was probably the most enjoyable game, a Super Bowl, I've ever watched. I'm telling you, I was impressed. It was super fun to watch. Now, maybe the players learned a little something, maybe not. But I'll tell you what I do know. The peers that all did what they should do, they stood. Those that stood are now viewed with greater esteem than those who kneeled. And I'll tell you why. It's for good reason. And I'll remind you, I didn't watch any professional games this season until the Super Bowl. I hope that reasoning makes some sense to you. You can think less of me if you want. Other people have told me they do, and that's okay. That's okay. You have your opinion. I'm not going to get in some sort of silly war with you over it. You have your opportunity, and I have mine to make decisions. And you got to feel right about that decision. You just can't. You got to stand where you stand. So. But Deadline.com, and thank you to my friend who sent this to me, the official parade in Philly, by the way, for the 41-33 triumph over the New England Patriots isn't till February 8th. I think that's tomorrow, right? I have a calendaring issue as a result of my brain injury. I don't know what day today is. I was told it was Wednesday, so better do a show. I almost didn't. If I don't feel like I have anything to contribute, I don't want to. If I can't make your life better, there's no point in it. If I don't make your life better by being a listener, by being a friend, being close to me, then I feel like I failed, and I don't want to do that. But the ratings are out with 103.4 million people watching the game. It was on NBC. I don't care for NBC, but it was on NBC. 103.4 million people. That's down 7% from the total set of network eyeballs from the 2017 Super Bowl. That's a steeper fall even than the declining stock market the other day. And by the way, don't panic over the stock market. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm running out of steam, so I don't think I'll talk much longer. But and that's the worst the Super Bowl has done since 2009 when the Steelers 27-23 defeat of the Arizona Cardinals. That was 98.7 million viewers. So I don't, you chalk that up what you want to. You think about it on your own. Maybe you send me a message, tell me what you think was the reason. I think the reason is the kneelers. I think it is the rabid anti-America sentiment that can only come from that. I think it's Kaepernick, excuse me, leading a bunch of people who should know better, who have the ability to know better, but they stand, they live in multi-million-dollar mansions. By the way, Gronkowski's home was burglarized, and all of his guns were stolen. Guns and other stuff. They stole the whole safe. His safe wasn't bolted down, and they stole the safe, which had a bunch of his guns in it. Yeah, he's a gun guy. He likes guns. And so they stole it. His whole house ransacked and all this other stuff. It was a big deal. Hey, and then they know where you and everybody else is going to be. Well, I know where Gronkowski's going to be and where all his friends and family are going to be. They're going to be at the Super Bowl. Excuse me. I feel bad for the guy. That's, a lot of that stuff probably very sentimental. Yeah, you may have a gazillion dollars, but sentimental. Can't replace that. But I think it's because of the kneelers. I think it's the people who were sympathetic to the kneelers. I think it's a statement against the commissioner of Commissioner Goodell. I think it's a huge statement saying, "Hey, we're Americans and we don't like it." Well, you're the deplorables. You're the hillbillies. Well, okay, I'm a deplorable hillbilly then. Whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But I'm not going to spend any money on your pursuits. I'll tell you this: if Tim Tebow if he were to be on one of those teams, I would have rooted for that team because I always root for Tebow. It's the only jersey I've ever bought. I have jerseys in my closet, and they are teams Tim Tebow was on, and the Liberty University football team. Who my son gave me that I think for my birthday, and it had his number from high school and post high school football on it, which is a great gift. I think it's signed or something too. It's an actual jersey of one of the number 62 wore. And so that's a wonderful gift. I think it's very, very sweet. And so I think that we have a listener. So many people think that being disrespectful is some form of speaking out, standing up for something. No, it's just being disrespectful. If you want to be heard, say something worth hearing in a way worth listening to. Amen. Thank you, Kim. That was very well said. It's absolutely true. I'll say that again. So many people think that being disrespectful is some form of speaking out or standing up for something. No. It's just being disrespectful. If you want to be heard, say something worth hearing in a way worth listening to. Amen. I support that. It's amazing. So true. Let me touch on this really quick. A couple other things really quick, and then I'm going to have to bug out of here. Conservatives are under attack by liberals, and I'm just going to say this. You may not like this. I don't want to hurt your feelings if this is offensive to you. But the fact that we don't hear very much about the shooting on the Republican baseball, the Congress people, in which Steve Scalise, wonderful guy, majority whip. He was almost killed. He was gravely ill. His family was told, don't expect him to make it through the night. That whole first 3 weeks, we don't know. We don't know if he's going to make it or not. So that's how gravely ill he was, how gravely injured he was. We don't hear very much about that anymore. Well, that's because the shooter's dead. No, it's not just because the shooter dead. It's because it was a Republican group that was targeted because they're Republicans by a leftist wingnut. 70 rounds were fired there. We don't hear very much about that. We don't hear any more about, well, where did he get the gun? They're so into gun control, they're so into getting rid of guns until a gun is used to kill conservatives. Well, everybody's got their right. You don't hear anything. I know it's probably a shock to you. You don't hear very much about it. Now, I'm going to put this out to you. You say what you want about it. You do what you want. You give me your feedback, all that stuff. Just keep it clean. I'm going to tell you that the Las Vegas shooting, crazy that we're not hearing more about that shooting. 50-some people were murdered. Yeah, you heard me. 50-some people. Now, it follows that country western folks, they are usually conservative. Well, deal with it. I'm not stereotyping. I'm telling you how it is. It's not a stereotype if it's true. I'm going to say this. I'm going to take a lot of heat over it. If that were an outdoor rap concert or R&B deal, and the audience was 90% black instead of 90% white, I'm going to tell you right now, we'd still be hearing about it every day. It'd be front page news. It'd be, lead story all the time. But we're not. There's a lot of things behind that. I think you can obviously tell that something is up with that whole deal with the investigation and the reporting and all that stuff. But on top of it, I'll be the one to say it. There's a bunch of conservative white people that were shot. And as a result, it's just not that important. Conservatives are under attack by liberals. And we used to laugh off liberals that threatened us. They said, oh, yeah, okay, crawl out of your mama's basement and make her give you some soup or something to eat because you can't cook anything yourself. And maybe she'll drive you over to do your sign painting or whatever for your protest signs, or put your vagina hats on. Now, you got to stop looking at them that way. It is not, those days are gone. We were too weak, and we were too timid, we were too afraid, and they rolled right over us. You can't underestimate them anymore. How about the Amtrak? You guys know I'm not an enormous fan of Amtrak as a business model, primarily because it just fails. The post office now has contracts with Amazon, and those Amazon contracts and other companies, but Amazon's the biggest one, is keeping them alive. It's keeping them afloat. Without that, they would be done. They'd have to come to Congress and say, we need, hundreds of millions of dollars because we're not going to make it. They've done it a gazillion times. You know it, I know it. It's a government-run organization. Now, our mail lady's been our mail lady for over 12 years. I don't know how long I've lived here, but I think it's maybe 10, 12 years. I'm probably saying that wrong. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how many years I've been here, but it's been a long time. I can tell that. And she's been our mail lady the whole time, and she's been awesome. Whatever, mail person. Ugh. She's our mailman. I even call her our mailman. I said, we have the best mailman in the world. She is, Tina. She's unbelievable. She's the best. And she'll even tell you it's the worst run place you've ever seen in your life. You just can't imagine. The regular workers out there busting their humps. Now, some of them aren't busting their humps. I had one when Tina was out. Every time she would come, I'd just think to myself, how in the world does this woman keep her job? And I even asked, because she was violating all kinds of rules and wrong mail every time, and instead of getting there by 11, she's getting there by 5, by 6. They found a bunch of mail she threw away, trays and trays of mail. Did she get fired? No, she did not. Well, Amtrak is not appreciably different, and it's a sketchy thing running on rails. The faster the trains are, gravity is what keeps them down, and you've had multiple train crashes that killed a bunch of people. Now, you've got the Republicans of Congress on one train with their families. And they're going to Greenbrier, I think West by God, Virginia. They don't all talk like that. I have friends that are from West Virginia and relatives and all, and they don't all talk like that. But even if they did, I still like it. I do. I think Southern accents are cool, and people with them are cool. Anyway, they're going there, and they had air support. They had a helicopter leading them, checking for problems, because obviously it's a huge target. And yet, even with that, a darn garbage truck with bald rear tires comes into the path of this train in a protected, with gates, crossing. Kills the one guy, and the other guy I think is clinging to life, and another guy is okay. And driving the garbage truck, but it caused some pretty serious injuries. They act like there weren't a bunch of serious. There were significant injuries, I should say. And these are all of the. These are all. In fact, we have a listener said, "Woohoo! The Greenbrier and White Sulphur Springs, not far from where I grew up." Anyway, you've got all these Republicans, ostensibly conservatives. They're going to their retreat, and they're on this one train. You got to be kidding me, man. They've got the air support going ahead and looking things over. They've got police that know what's happening, and yet this garbage truck pulls in front and it hits them. And the guy. Now I don't know the deal. We're not hearing much about the operator of the truck. We're not hearing much about the occupants of the truck, and I think that's suspicious to me. That's a problem. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but nowadays conservatives are under attack by liberals. I want to know more about that. I want to know more. And then in South Carolina, we have another a head-on, because somehow or another somebody switched. It's a manual switch, and switched from one track to the other, and the train coming along went head-on into another train. People were killed in South Carolina. I think something's up with that. I'm investigating, and I have people out there that are looking into it for me and connecting me with the right people, but I don't have enough on that to say much more than that. Now, the third and last topic, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I haven't seen the Democrat memo yet. Schiff apparently wrote it. He's a whack job, and he's a treasonous pig. Very much deserving of a throat punch. Very much. I'd even volunteer for that one. Guy's just a jerk. I'm not threatening him. I'm just saying. This memo deal, the memo that came out, do I think the Republicans overhyped it? No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because the Republicans that were on the news were saying it is significant. It is major news. No doubt about it. Will it bring them all down? I don't know. Depends on how America views it and what, it's just like, what's the guy's name from South Carolina? Trey Gowdy. I like hearing him talk, but that's about all he does. And now he's explained to Martha McCallum, a great girl from Red Bank, New Jersey. Martha McCallum, she did a fantastic interview with him. And he said, the number one question I'm asked at Publix on Saturday morning is, why don't some people get locked up? Why don't you start locking some folk up? You get up in there, you make a good case, you prosecute them well, and then nothing ever happens. Well, here's why. And he answered it. Congress doesn't prosecute. That's the executive branch. Under President Barack Hussein Obama, nobody got prosecuted for stuff like that. They're on his team. That is his team. That's their motto. Well, and then, he went on to explain the executive branch has to do it. So that is the DOJ, Department of Justice. That's the Attorney General. Attorney General's got to get in there and get after it and say, okay, you've committed some crimes here. We're going to charge you with them formally, and we're going to prosecute you. Well, guess what? The FBI, as you know from all of the emails that have come out, not just between Strzok and Page and all of that, but others. And all the information come out. It was, a lot of it we learned from this memo. I don't think it was overhyped by the Republicans. I don't at all. I think a lot of news people overhyped it because they kept talking about it. They didn't know the first thing was in that memo. And I'll tell you what was powerful enough for me. Kick them out. Lock them up. Send them away. It's fine with me. Now we got the Democrat memo that has been written. It's significantly longer, of course, because liberals are blowhards. And so now they're saying, well, originally they said, you can't release that memo, Republicans, because it's national security. Now, obviously, the memo comes out clearly. Nothing had to be redacted because there's nothing in there of national security. No names were named, stuff like that. It's, undercover ops or anything like that. Nothing was revealed. No lines were crossed. It was easy to declassify. Now, they went ahead and wrote a memo that you have to redact. You have to edit. You have to you have to really vet a lot of the information in there, because they purposely put that information in there to make it so that President Trump's staff will have to, in order to protect people's lives, will have to redact some things. Well, guess what? That was on purpose. They did that on purpose. That's how they play. They play dirty, these people. They are dirty. They play dirty. Yes, I want to read the memo. I absolutely want to read the memo. There's no doubt about it. I want to read that memo for sure. But I'm going to tell you what else. If the left wrote it, I don't believe it. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to pay close attention to it. But if the left wrote it, I don't really believe it. Why? Let me tell you something. If you're in a relationship and the person you're in a relationship with lies to you once, and then you confront them, and then they lie again. They say, no, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. No, I didn't say that. No, I wasn't with the, and then you say, look, here's a picture. Here's a photograph. Here's video. All right, I did it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I slipped. I was drunk. I was high. I was hungry. And then they say, I'll never do it again. You can trust me. Put your life in my hands. I'll never do it again. Guess what? They do it again. No, I didn't do it. I know, you're wrong. You're wrong. All this stuff. And then you believe them. And then guess what else happens? I'll never do it again. At that point in time, you got to believe that person will do it again. Absolutely. Maybe it's a person lying to you. Maybe it's a person at work. Maybe it's wherever. When a person lies to you that much, you got to throw the flag and go, you know what? You have proven yourself not to be a trustworthy person. Well, the entity which is the left lies constantly, just like Islam. Yes, I'm comparing the left to Islam. Absolutely. Their tactics are the same. Saul Alinsky would have been a great Muslim because his tactics were the rules for radicals. That's what the left studies, and that's what they do. And I'm just telling you right now, we all love America. No, these people don't love America. What they love is not America. It's just not. It's not America. And I'm going to tell you, I heard a lot of people say that this Nunes, I say his name wrong. I say it like I think it should be said, but he pronounces Nunes. I'm going to tell you my opinion on this. I think it was an excellent, well-written memo. It was obviously written to be released. It was written so that it could be released. And so, I just, I feel very strongly in this that for me, I think it was a phenomenal memo. Phenomenal. I think it revealed exactly what it should reveal, and it should also make all of us very, very I don't want to use the word mad, angry, whatever. But, at some point, you got to use that word. You got to use that word. Somebody and I were talking about, Nancy Pelosi. She sat down after 8 hours and 7 minutes. It's a record-breaking speech. Good for her. Man, that must have been tough to listen to. Woof! Tough to look at, tough to listen to. Good lands. Anyway, I'm babbling on. I'm about out of information, so my brain is full and empty. Hey, let me just tell you about this. My buddy, and I don't get paid for this. It's just he's a good guy, and he wrote an excellent series of books. The latest one is God's Universe, God's Rules by Jerry Mitchell. God's Universe, God's Rules, and very, very good. It's out by Christian Faith Publishing. Jerry Mitchell, you Google him, God's Universe, God's Rules, you'll see it. Very, very good book. It's not a super long book, but I think it's really, really good. You can get it in paperback or in digital ebook form, and I think you'll really enjoy it. I've really enjoyed it, and so that's Jerry Mitchell, God's Universe, God's Rules. Good guy, home folk, good old farm folk. Very intelligent guy, and he spent a lot of time researching it. So as to the memo, I wanted to get that in because I really think that more people that read stuff like that will be better off. But the memo, I think the memo, I don't think the government, there's a lot that could have been done. I see somebody wrote this. Why is it so damaging that Trump released the FBI memo to the public? For starters, no spy will ever again want to do any work for the Americans on behalf, again, now that the classified secret information with sources are exposed. Now, this person's an idiot. She goes by the name Catherine Serpico. Well, she has 10 people following her, so that is pretty big. No, I'm just kidding. She has more than 10, but she's had 10 people. And she's asking for money. She's got a donate page on there, so that's good. Well, I do that too. So, but if you read it, it's almost impossible to read. It's so many errors. But the fact is nobody. My point in this is nobody at all released any names that couldn't be released. So, now we're told that the Democrat memo, does have such things in it that will have to be. Now, of course, what's going to happen. Don't freak out when it happens. Just know that you've been told. Look. What's going to happen is the left is going to go, oh, they redacted our memo. They took important stuff out. Well, I thought you were saying that the Republican memo, which was released unredacted, would destroy American spy efforts and would get the operatives killed and ruin the government. And it was a constitutional crisis, all of this. Well, it wasn't. We read it word for word. Nothing was taken out. Well, they purposely do a memo, the Democrats purposely do a memo that a bunch of stuff has to be taken out. And then what are they going to say? Oh, look, they've redacted it. It's materially changed it to favor them. We got to smarten up, folks. We got to smarten up. We got to be a little tougher. No offense. Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I have feelings too, as has been proven. But by the way, I want to say my condolences go out to Mickey Jones, his family. Now, you won't know the name Mickey Jones, but Mickey Jones, he was in Home Improvement. He was the big guy with the country accent. He was also on that show Justified. Phenomenal. I mean, really, really good. Really good guy. He's country, biker, tough guy looking. 76 years old, which is amazing that he's 76 because nobody would ever thought that he was 76. But yeah, he's 76 years old. And it is unfortunate because he's a really good guy, a Christian, a person of great faith, and so the world has lost a really, really good guy. I thought he was very believable too at playing his part. So Mickey Jones, Home Improvement and Justified actor, and others. He's a character actor, tough guy. You need a tough guy. That's the guy. A lot of times he would play a biker, beer swilling biker, whatever. And so, my condolences to his family. Also, I do want to say I share some stuff on social media that is really, really pertinent. And I try to only share stuff that either lifts your spirits or educates you or enlightens you in some way, empowers you in some way. And I sent out a Liberty Eagle, Democrats that boycotted President Trump's State of the Union, and they call for his impeachment, call him a racist and whatnot. They embrace and hug Louis Farrakhan. This is plain on Congressional Black Caucus. These are all Black Caucus members hugging. And when they're hugging Louis Farrakhan, they're not hugging him as though he is in some way just a person. They're hugging him as though he is not only an icon, but a very close friend. And Maxine Waters is one of them. There's a bunch of them there that you'll recognize in this. I would encourage you, just click on follow, and then that way you can see it. Search it there. I would be very eager for you to look at that. It's a very brief video. I want to say it's probably a minute, 2 minutes, but very revealing. And Farrakhan and Waters and all the others are having a great exchange, and they're great friends, and blah, blah, blah. And, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam, called for the extermination of Jews and white people. So, unapologetically, by the way. And but conservatives are the racists. So, anyway, I've outrun my coverage, so I don't want to blabble on just because I have time to fill, because I don't. I sure appreciate you listening. I would love it if you would refer this show to other people. If you don't have the app, it's a much easier way to listen. I would encourage you to do that. It's fun. The app is really cool. I paid so you don't have to, so it's free. Free to you, and I would encourage you to, once you get it, then it's super easy to share in social media. It's easy to share to your friends on your email list or your Twitter, wherever. You can share them all over the place. I love that. That really helps us. Also, if you listened and you were blessed, send a comment. We will be doing a message, an inspiring and educational message on Sunday. We'll be in Newark, Delaware. We'll be meeting in Newark, Delaware with our little Kehala. We'll have a great meal at 5, and then 5:30 I go live. And then we're only an hour or less there. So I encourage you to listen to that. And it's not your daddy's church. It's a very different way of doing things. And I know that you'll really like it and really be blessed. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, very informative. Thank you also to all of the Gold Stars who listened, veterans and active duty. Thank you. We love you. We appreciate everything that you do. Gold Stars, we appreciate the greatness, the unfathomable greatness of your incredible sacrifice on our behalf. And we want you to know that as long as I'm behind this microphone, I will never forget. And I won't let my listeners forget the great sacrifice that you and your loved ones made. In the meantime, go to my website, Sean M. Greener at pixels dot, I don't know, whatever. I always mess it up. I never remember stuff because I don't retain stuff. SeanM-Greener.pixels.com. Sean M, SHAWNM Greener.pixels.com. And that's my photography, and everything that you buy there, the margin is very small, but that goes back into doing what we do and helps fund what we do. So I encourage you to do that. There's some really cool stuff on there, some beautiful prints that can be framed. They can be swank all the way to towels. I even have super fleece blankets, which everyone that's bought them has told me that they are amazing. So only the best. I'd rather make less on it and have you get a better product than to sell you an inferior product and me make more. So that's kind of how I roll. So you do that, I sure appreciate it. Send us a message and let us know what you thought and any suggestions you have. We would love to hear. God bless you.
Dr. Greener returns next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the meantime, he'll be working to restore your freedom and your liberty. He will engage in the collision of faith and politics for you and with you. In the meantime, remember to follow him on Twitter at the Ninja Pastor and follow him on Facebook. Dr. Greener's controversial book, Excellence Killed the Church: How Mediocrity is Destroying America, is available on Amazon and at other fine booksellers. Or you can get a copy directly through his website, www.drseangreener.com, where you can also listen to interviews and speeches and messages free of charge. Show archives are available on iTunes through drseangreener.com.